So the New Orleans Pelicans have been somewhat impressive this season, as although they're missing Zion Williamson, probably their best player, they have still been a team that looks like they're going to make the play-in tournament. No one has been really talking about them, but at the NBA trade deadline, they did make one of the biggest trades of the whole year, as they traded for McCollum. This is obviously a big move since McCollum is an all-star level guy, one of the best scorers in the league, and adding him to a Pelicans team definitely improved them significantly. It has led me to make this video where I'll be discussing how I think McCollum will help the New Orleans Pelicans. But before we get into the video, I ask you to drop a like on this video, as it does help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to go of 3,000 subscribers. Also, drop a comment on this video, as I do respond to all of my comments, and play that intro. But before we talk about how good I think McCollum makes the Pelicans, we have to talk about what the Pelicans actually gave up, because you would have thought they gave up a crazy amount of valuable players in exchange for McCollum, and if they actually had done that, it wouldn't have been that good of a trade for them. But the reason why I think this is a great trade is because they gave up nearly nothing for a guy who averages 20 points per game in his sleep. What they had given up is Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Thomas Satoransky, Didi Luzuru, I don't know how to pronounce that, and Josh Hart, and a protected first-round pick, along with 2 second-round picks. To discuss their assets, Nickeil Alexander-Walker is a guy who did show potential. He had a few good sprints in the league. He looked like he could be a solid starter in the league, but he just hasn't been consistent at all. He's been absolutely atrocious at times, terribly inefficient. He looks like a guy who has all the skills, all the moves, but he just can't finish, whether it's on his jump shots or in his driving ability. Maybe he could develop better in Portland. He definitely has the potential and the skill and the talent, but right now he's not a winning player right now, so it's not a bad thing that New Orleans gave him up. Thomas Satoransky at best is a backup point guard, and he's an old veteran. Getting rid of him is not a big deal. Didi Luzuru is a guy who only played 5 games in his career, only 2 games this season. I think he got drug tested and caught. I doubt he's going to be in the NBA 2 years from now, so not a big deal getting rid of him. Probably the most significant player they had to give up was Josh Hart, who's actually a guy who has been balling. He's a really good role player, guy who can shoot the 3-ball okay, play defense at a really good level. He was low-key having a breakout season, averaging 13 points, 8 rebounds on solid enough efficiency. He was just solid at attacking the rim, and he was one of the best rebounding guards in the league, very, very elite. He's never going to be an all-star or anything like that, but going forward, I think he was going to be a really, really good role player, but he wasn't going to help you as much as McCollum will. Next, we have to talk about the first-round picks they got, and to be honest, I don't think giving up those first-round picks are a huge deal, as long as Zion can be healthy, or as long as they can be just a good team in general. If they're really bad, then this team could really look dumb if the Blazers get a top 5 pick out of it, or maybe even a top 10. But I don't think this trade makes New Orleans a bad team, so I think they're for sure a play-in team, meaning that this pick probably won't even be top 10. Also, it is protected. I don't know how it's protected, but it's probably top 5 protected or something like that, and 2 second-round picks are not that big of a deal. So honestly, I don't feel like New Orleans gave up that much. Sure, they gave up the best. No, they didn't give up the best player. They didn't even give up the best player. They just gave up some guys who could be probably role players in the league. McCollum is a bigger upgrade than Josh Hart. They definitely got better. They have more scoring, a guy who can space the floor. An amazing trade. Generally, I would give it an A-, but it does have some risk to it. So to talk about what the Pelicans got back in this trade, they actually did get a lot of things that can help them. Not only did they get McCollum, who's an all-star level guy, one of the best scorers in the league, they also got Larry Nance Jr. and Tony Snell. And I know Larry Nance Jr. and Tony Snell are not big names, but those are guys who could be solid role players and help them win games. Larry Nance is a very versatile defender at the center spot, and that's exactly what the Pelicans need, because they definitely have to be better on defense. They're one of the worst in the league. He's also a guy who could catch lobs. I'm not saying he's some amazing player, but he is a guy who could be solid, a player off the bench, or maybe he'll even start, I don't know. Tony Snell is not amazing. He's not as good as he was before, but he's at least okay on defense, and he should be able to space out the floor out amazingly. I think he shot the best 3-point percentage last year in the NBA. He's amazing. He's not amazing. I don't know. But they're both 2 solid role players, which is something the Pelicans just need, because they don't have that much depth. To talk about the obvious part of the trade, McCollum is really going to help this team out, because outside of Brandon Ingram, Ingram. They didn't really have any huge shot creators. Maybe occasionally Devontae Graham with a difficult three, but besides that, no one was really creating their own shot. So much pressure was on Ingram, but now they have McCollum, who although is not the most perfect player, but one thing he can do is score, and he does it at a really good level. He's one of the best shooters in the league. He's a really good shot creator. He's going to give the team way more floor spacing because he's someone you can't leave open, and when Zion returns, he's really going to love that floor spacing, because before, Zion was scoring 26 points on terrible floor spacing, but now the Pelicans' floor spacing is way better. I'm not saying that Zion's going to average like 30 points, but I think he's going to be way better when he returns, as long as the injury didn't mess him up too bad. I think McCollum is going to be a guy who goes buck, because last season before he got injured, he was averaging 26 points a game. I'm not saying he's going to average 26 points, but I think he could average 22 to 23 on good efficiency. He's a great guy who can move off the ball. He doesn't need the ball in his hands all the time. He's a really good catch and shoot player. He's not great on defense, but offense is something the Pelicans definitely have to improve on, because they're one of the worst teams on offense too. And McCollum's definitely gonna up their offense, just make it easy for everyone, which is very useful because they're not good, as I said. So at least when you get McCollum, you improve on at least one side of the floor. Maybe you get a little worse defensively, but at least you're a good offensive team. Now the Pelicans low-key have a big four of Zion, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, and now McCollum. Obviously, 3 out of the 4 of those guys probably aren't gonna make the All-Star team, but they are all-star level players, because if Zion plays how we did last season, he's obviously an all-star. Brandon Ingram is simply an all-star. I think he's been playing better than Andrew Wiggins, so we probably should have made it over him. Jonas Valanciunas is one of the most underrated centers in the league, just players in general. He's averaging 18 points, 12 rebounds. Those are some all-star numbers. He's definitely in borderline all-star from at least what his numbers have been showing. And also, when you talk about McCollum, he's a guy who's averaging 20 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists on good efficiency. That's definitely all-star numbers. The Pelicans definitely improved. I think they could be one of the most surprising teams in the league next season. They just need Zion to come back healthy. To conclude the video, I think the Pelicans are just the clear winners of this trade. The Blazers are the clear losers. I don't know why they would make a trade like this. McCollum been playing on this team for like 6 years, where he was basically like an all-star level guy. And for all those 6 years, all you trade him for is some prospects who don't look too promising and some picks that probably won't turn out to anything significant. Honestly, sad, and the Blazers should be ashamed of themselves, their front office. And yes, I know some people might say they're trying to save money, get rid of like some cap space, but we have to realize that literally no one is going to come to Portland in free agency. Simply just a terrible move, especially when you realize they didn't make any moves. Terrible. They should be ashamed. Pelicans are a huge W though. Anyways, guys, that's it for the video. Let me know whether or not you think the Pelicans want this trade. Drop a like on this video to help my channel grow. Subscribe to my channel if you want daily NBA content. Also, if you want to reach over 3,000 subscribers, I'll drop a comment on this video, as I do respond to all of my comments. And play that intro.